Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, or wherever you are. My name is Paul Gerst with Travis CI. Welcome to another Office Hours with Travis CI. First and foremost, thank you for attending. We really appreciate your time. We want to provide you with high value and be brief. We expect today to be about 30 minutes. Today's topic was a request, so please send us your requests. Today, we're going to hear about using Docker in Travis CI builds. Today, Travis CI's Michael Mendy shows us how to incorporate Docker into Travis CI builds and then demonstrate how simple it can be to add and utilize basic and even more complex Docker capabilities. If you have to leave or you know someone that's interested, the video will be posted on the Travis CI blog shortly after this is over. If you have a question, please leave it in the comments. We want to keep the questions to the topic at hand. If you have a product issue, send your email to support@travis-ci.com. That's support@travis-ci.com. Today, we are very fortunate, as I said, to have Travis CI's Michael Mendy with us. Michael Mendy is one of the most prominent members of the CI/CD community. He's a software engineer with Travis. He regularly speaks before groups about CI/CD. He's spoken at IBM. He's going to speak again at IBM in January. Look for that. He's spoken at DroidCon, Leave Dev, ARP Dev Summit, and many, many more. His intimacy with CI/CD pipelines comes with extensive knowledge of things like YAML, Docker, and other software infrastructure technologies, managing high-level server systems from small to large-scale deployments around the world. I'm going to turn it over to Michael. Michael?
Thank you, Paul. That was a wonderful presentation. So let me share my screen here. So we're going to start out with GitHub. Okay, so you'll kind of see here, we have a couple of components to this. We have the .travis YAML, the Docker file, and then, of course, we open the Docker file, see what actually we're going to be pulling from Docker. So this is just going to be pulling a Nginx image, and then it's just going to be really generating an index.html. So let's go back and see what that index.html looks like. Pretty basic. Let's see here. GitHub is being slow. Okay, so let's just actually try to start a build if GitHub will allow. We'll do this. Let's go back to GitHub. Paul, are you still with me?
Yes.
All right, it looks like GitHub might be down. All right, let's try this. Hopefully that's a little better. Looks like GitHub is now working, which is good. Looks like GitHub was giving me a little bit of issues here in the beginning. Let's see if we can't refresh, go back to it. All right, guys. Well, GitHub is giving us some issues here today. Let's try and see if it opens. All right, there we go. So again, this is just a classic Nginx file. So you'll see in our build here, we have some just your normal environment variables. We tell Docker to log in, username. So right here, we're building an image, office hours v1. And let's actually trigger a build to see kind of what this looks like. So we're just going to do a comment out what just says trigger. Let's see here, push for webinar. Perfect. And now we should see a build going on. Yep. And so for people asking where you put your environment variables, so there's a couple. You can just embed them in the build yourself, or what I do is I just go straight to the UX UI. So these environment variables will initially talk to Docker. So if you're logging into Docker and you definitely need to do some building and image pushing, and that's perfect. So here we go. Our VM is booted up. And we're going to go to Docker here. Here's the office hours. We'll see some of the tags. And once this is done, we should have a new image pushed to Docker Hub. So here's the JSON config. And also, this is obviously me triggering a build. We're going to the job log. So we see Docker here kind of working. Login succeeded. Okay, so now it's pushed up to Docker Hub. Let's see if it actually, Docker has talked to Travis and everything's good. So we're going to refresh. And there you go. You'll see last pushed a few seconds ago by Montana Mendy. Actually gives the OS arc, the digest, and the manifest, and then tells you really if you want to pull it from your own CLI on just how to do that. So we're going to do one more here. This is a Ruby app that I also have going on for Docker. So we're going to go to a different branch. And thank you for Kasim with helping with this part, specifically the Ruby code. So we're going to remove this, and this is going to trigger a build. This one's going to take a little bit more time, and I'll explain why. Trigger build, commit changes. All right, so this one's obviously triggering now. So let's take a look at the YAML file here. So we're using dist-jammy. We've defined our Ruby language version. We could use RVM, but in this case, we just brute force into 278. And this is important here. So anytime you want to run Docker and Travis, you got to define your services. And this is really true with like MongoDB, Redis, anything that you could really imagine that might be a service that your build needs to be talking to. So just something to keep in mind. So this is just a really basic Docker build here. We have a job stages. So we're going to do a test stage. And in that test stage, we're going to do installing build essential and SQLite 3. And then the -y is just yes to skip all the prompts. And then, of course, just Rails, DB create, DB migrate, what you would expect on just building any Rails app or test app. And then what you saw last time, which echo Docker password, Docker username. This talks to the environment variables. And then you'll kind of see Docker build, Montana Mendy office hours v4. And then we tag that and make sure it's the v4 release. And then we only specify here, this is really important to note, that only deploy to Docker Hub if the branch is app and the build has been triggered. So those are a couple of things to keep in mind anytime you're wanting to actually create an image and then on top of that, deploy an image. All right. So here we go. So let's see our test suite here. So we have 2 assertions, 2 runs, 0 failures, 0 errors. Okay, so this is just really testing. And let me switch my screen here. Sorry about that, guys. And what you'll see, as I was talking about, this is really important, if branch app. So we know now, since this build is actually occurring, and you'll see this going here that, it passed the test stage. Now it's going on to the deploy phase. So that's going to take a minute or two. But what's most important is to see that it's been pushed up to Docker Hub. And you'll see the last pushed a few seconds ago by Montana Mendy. And what it will also give you is a Docker pull command. So you can actually run this in your own CLI and try it yourself and see what kind of workings I have. And that really is just the Nginx one. But let me go back to the build. Let's see how it's doing. Okay, so this is actually the one that's deploying to Docker Hub. So it's going to be installing SSH keys. It's going to be, so this is going to be my username, password. So these are all exported. These are bundle installed, just regular Ruby activity. So it's going down. It's fetching basically every dependency you could think of. And then right here, login succeeded. So now it's logged in to Docker, specifically Docker Hub, which is very important. And then, of course, we're building now the Docker file. And you'll see kind of we're running on just the OS Alpine. So that's just really, really a basic build here. We're on step 2. So really, these are kind of the digest here that you're seeing. And some more of the instructions in the Docker file. So run APK update. APK, as you know, is Alpine. So this one's going to take a while. So let me go back to the actual repo itself and to show you a few things here. If it allows me. Okay, we'll do it like this. So a couple of things you'll notice here is we have Docker Compose YAML, which is crucial. And that looks just essentially just like the .travis YAML. The gem file, this is a Docker file test, and that would be the one that we use on the first hand before deployment, rather. So we're going to actually go back and check how our build is doing at Travis. It's still actually installing the bundler. Nice to note, though, if you go to view config, you can look at the JSON and just make sure, specifically RVM 278, like I was saying, we kind of just use ruby.278. But if you use RVM, you can define more than one Ruby version, which is really cool. So that's just, again, something to keep in mind if you're definitely building a Ruby app and you want it to actually push to Docker Hub. So we are going to go back here. These usually take about 6 minutes. We're about at 3 minutes. Okay, so this is building native extension, 39 gems installed. And then, of course, we want to check, as you can see here, we're going to refresh this. And this is Docker Hub. So we know that the last one we pushed was 7 minutes ago. And once this Ruby file is actually pushed, this whole project, this should be, it should say seconds ago. So then we know it's at the latest version, which is V4. And I could change that tag to V5, but or this one technically is V1, but we could change that tag to anything really you want it to say. This one that's pushing here should say V4. So you're seeing it going through actual step by step in the Docker file. So that's extremely important. So you'll see here, everything's been successful. So it says this push refers to a repository. This is going to be secure, but we know it's my username now. So these layers already exist. So that's going to obviously verbosely tell you that. And then these have been pushed. Okay, so let's go back over to Docker Hub. And then hopefully we have a tag that's on a higher ground. V4 release, and there you have it. Last pushed a few seconds ago by Montana Mendy. It'll say OS Arc, and you can pull this in your CLI and yeah, there you have it. We built an Nginx project and a Ruby app within a matter of, I don't know, less than 10 minutes here, even though GitHub was giving us a little trouble in the beginning. But yeah, so that's really how simple it is to use Docker in Travis CI. It's very straightforward. So I believe that's it. So if there's any questions, post them in the chat or email me personally, and I will get back to you. So we can wait for some questions if those come in. Yeah, and it is worth noting that, sign up for a free trial on Travis CI. And if you get stuck, message me personally, and I will definitely help you out. I think some people find it a little intimidating, specifically, when we're talking about setting environment variables, pushing the Docker Hub. But, you can see how easy it is, once you get the hang of it. I did it in, I think it was an 8-minute speed run. So so sign up for a free trial, really just kind of dig your heels in. And if you really get stuck on anything, just email me personally and I'll be glad to help you out. And we have a great support staff as well. So. Okay, well, I think that is it. Any questions that come in, just email me at montana@travis-ci.org, and I will be happy to answer those. Thank you so much. See you at the next office hours.